All right, hey guys, DMS here. Welcome back to The Grind. We have another episode for you today, this time with my friend Dalton. I've known for a very, very, very long time, working in the music industry now. We actually recorded this episode once and the audio turned out really bad, so here we are another day doing it again. So Dalton, thanks for coming back.
It's great to be here. Always a pleasure. Like Mark said, known each other for years, like 20 years at this point.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Funny. I had Cameron on here at one point because Cameron's doing the real estate stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he was like, "Dude, our friendship's like it's gonna be old enough to drink soon." And I was like, "Shit, I guess that's about as long as I've known Dalton."
It's wild, dude. It's nuts. It's crazy too, specifically because of like what we both do and how we both work in entertainment now. I wouldn't have ever guessed that.
Oh yeah, it's funny because like you can see too. There's like a handful of people that came out of the class we were in back then that just like they went straight into like either investments or entertainment or stuff like that. And what's funny is all the people I know that really are going into really interesting careers are the people that didn't go to college.
Really?
My dog wants your attention apparently. Lost a few seconds there. Had to put up my dog. Where was I at?
Talking about people that we went to school with that didn't go to college or doing.
Yeah, the people are doing interesting things, I think.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, like, that was, I'm not saying don't go to college, not advocating to not go to college. If college is for you, it's for you. If it's not, it's not. But
exactly.
I dropped out. I went to school for a year and a half, lived in Knoxville for 6 more months, and then I just was working in kitchens and restaurants and not really having enough time to put towards my crafts. And so I was like, I might as well go back to school and learn as much as I can about the business side of the entertainment industry. Because I don't have the luxury of, like, I know so many kids that I graduated with, like, their mom does such and such, or their dad's an entertainment lawyer, or whatever, and, like, they've grown up around it, and they still don't know what they want to do. So it's just, like, I think that, like, just kind of going back to school taught me, one, that A, I didn't need it, and B, that there's nothing wrong with taking all the opportunities available and using all your points of access to your advantage.
Oh yeah, honestly, and this is something I've heard too. The best way to find what you want to do is by doing what you don't want to do.
Yes.
And
another
thing too, don't find out what you want to do without getting out there and trying things.
Yeah, well, and that's like, I have a buddy, I have a few buddies that just, few of them are electricians, some of them do construction, one of them is like framing and doing crazy like cabinetry now, but like it's like something that most people is like, oh, it's a menial job, and it's like they're craftsmen. Like
there's a buddy of mine who does countertops, like faux finish stuff.
Exactly.
He lives out in Denver, like has a house and everything, and it's like, dude, I don't know, man, he's killing it out there. Like that doesn't seem like just a labor job.
No, well, we grew up in. Our parents said, you go to college, you get a job, you have 2.5 kids, you get a white picket fence, you buy a house,
golden retriever.
Exactly. And it's just like, where's the 2.5 kids come in? Who's the half kid?
Right. You get your 401k and you're working a 9 to 5 and all this stuff. And there's nothing wrong with the American dream like that.
No, but I mean, it diverted a lot of people that we know from going into those trades and those crafts, because they thought, oh, I can't make money off it. It's like, dude, I know a guy that does like gutter installation and has like $1 million home.
Oh yeah, and here's the thing too. You think about this: the people working those 9 to 5s, a lot of people doing that. The person paying them started out probably going out on a whim and doing something that they wanted to do, some kind of craft, and it developed into something bigger. It started with someone who didn't want to work a 9 to 5,
right?
And it created 9 to 5s.
Well, and it's that's what's so cool about entrepreneurship is it's just like having that entrepreneurial mindset. It's like my dad tells me all the time, I don't know how you like do the clothes and do all this other stuff and have a job. He's like, that would drive me nuts. I like going home. He's like, even though I'm on salary and I get home and sometimes I got to do emails or whatever, he's like, I want work to end when I go home. But for me, I feel like the way that my brain works is just kind of always firing. And so like, I have to keep myself busy.
There's no end to the work.
No.
Like, I don't take days off. It's just, you are always looking for the next project.
Yeah.
You're always staying busy. Like, yesterday I was working on stuff and then I had an idea and it was like, I need to start doing this right now. I could be playing video games or doing whatever, and then instead I stay up till 5 a.m. editing something.
Right. Well, and I think, I just went on vacation. I think that taking a break every now and then is okay, but it's like, even my vacation was to see if I wanted to live there. Like, as much as it was for my birthday and, like, we were just celebrating, but it was like, I want to see if I could live in this place and not go insane. So I think that to each his own when it comes to being an entrepreneur. If you like it, if it's you, if it's not. But for me, like, not even necessarily being like, oh, I'm busy. I don't do medial things. I'm not going to, like, oh, this isn't going to benefit me in X, Y, Z, A, B, C. And not saying that everything has to benefit me, but
Right.
I tend to not allot my time to do things that are just like, oh, you want to come hang out? No, I don't.
Right.
I don't want to hang out.
Right, and that's the thing too. Like, you're driving out here because for you this is like 30-minute drive, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
But we're doing something
Exactly.
actively.
And this is more enjoyable for me, creating something like doing a long stint of like a project where it's like, oh, this has been, and we can talk about it later. But touching on this, I'm dropping 8 projects this year.
Yeah,
Those have all for the most part have been done.
and for the most part, if you were wondering why I brought him on here, that's kind of part of why. I mean, I'm sure you've noticed a recurring theme. A lot of people that have come on here, they do interesting things. They work a lot. And you are very much aware of how much preparation and time it takes to achieve goals without the people who just get that, random burst of luck, instant fame. It really takes, putting out content for a long period of time.
Yeah.
Before you really start to build into something.
Right. And that's like, I have people all the time ask me when stuff's coming out, with this, that, the third. And it's like, I want a whole body of work to be finalized and put out, and obviously I'll continue making music after I put out all this stuff, but like I want it all done and be able to put it out, and so it's all not just like one project. It's like, oh, that's a cohesive project. Like it's a running storyline, it's a running theme. It's
all interconnected, it's all intentional.
Yeah, it's not just music, and that's where people get confused. They're like, oh, so you make music? I'm like, I do a lot of stuff. But specifically right now I've been focusing a lot on music, yes. But at the same time, I think that people get that one burst or that one boost, or they'll get a song that gets 1 million streams or something, and they think, oh, I've made it. That's $4,000.
Yeah.
If from Spotify. I mean, if you're getting it on one of them, usually it spans the other ones. But there's many artists just working in the field that I do, digital distribution. I work for Ditto Music, great company. But you watch these artists that like all their plays come from Spotify, or all their plays come from Apple Music. Like it's not, there's some that cross over between the different platforms, but for the most part, like you can pretty much guarantee you got that 1 million plays on Spotify. That's $4,000. Is that really going to be anything tangible? No. In
the long term, not really. And here's another thing too. It's a lot of people that get that click of instant fame. It depends where they go from there too. Like we got a big example right now is the Lil Nas X song.
Right.
This guy blew up off this song, and either it's going to just start simmering out from there, or he's going to start putting out more good stuff. It's going to make his career either skyrocket or tank.
And they've already posted about it, my buddy. But Weston Weiss, he's the guitarist and key player for the Rex. We've done a few different things. He actually produced Going Bad. Funny story about that. Never mind, I'm not going to talk about that. But he produced Going Bad, Promise You That. He's done a song for me called It Seems. That was a co-production with my buddy Lucid Chrome. He did Dance for Me, which is one of my buddy Lucid Chrome songs. He's done stuff for Little Got It. He's done stuff, the Meek Mill Nav song on Nav's new album. It's just really interesting, but he's working with Lil Nas X right now.
Nice.
So I think, and I hope that he keeps doing his thing, but I think it's just going to transition into rap. And it's not going to be the gimmicky country rap thing.
The stuff that we're really hoping for.
Right. Lil Nas X, you are the savior of country music. 100%.
That could really, if he continued with that trend. Yeah. I mean, I don't even want to call it a trend because I don't think anyone's done it like that.
Not, and as goofy as it is, not as tastefully. It sounds like a rap song.
He could set a trend that way, and it would be catchy as hell and get just... I could see people in arenas with that kind of music.
Yeah, I agree, but it's also like I thought this was going to be a big step forward in the right direction, and I kept making jokes about Nashville co-signed, let's say Lil Nas X, protect Lil Nas X at all costs, but they have on Music Row now a billboard that they took it off the country charts, and there's a sign on Music Row that's got Billy Ray's face on it talking about that record. Dude, that record was hot before you got on it, and the version without you on it is hotter than yours. And I'm not sure, I haven't looked at the numbers recently, but I'm pretty sure it's, in terms of analytics, it's doing better than the one with Billy Ray, the original.
I think the thing with Billy Ray, and it's just kind of it was just kind of somebody big from country backing it up.
Exactly,
and that's what matters.
And I feel, and that's what I liked about it. But then to see like the sign where it does not even mention Lil Nas X, it just says Old Town Road.
Yeah,
and it has Billy Ray and it tells all the stats on it. And it's like, man, come on, like it's. I really hope it's funny because I really hope that kid does really well because I feel like he had a really good idea.
Yeah,
and I feel like it can go really far.
Oh, he was like he was totally riding the train with it too. Like he's posting like a picture of like this super ghetto apartment, and he's like, all that Old Town Road money coming to use, stuff like that. It's like, well, that's how it is. You know, nobody's gonna instantly make $1 million overnight. But
and you can, and what
right.
people need to understand, and that's kind of the theme of this is that you're trying to create longevity. You're not an overnight success is awesome, and if you know what to do with that money afterward, then you're good. But after you pay all the people that you got to pay, the royalty statements come in.
That check gets smaller and smaller.
It's infinitely smaller, and I hate to see artists get discouraged about that. But you can go look at my stuff online. I don't have tons of plays on stuff. I got a song that's got almost 10,000 streams on Spotify.
I think I mentioned this before when we recorded this the first time to mess up. That J. Cole song, 1985. Is that what it is? I think it is. Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, where he talks about, like, never quit touring because that's how you make money in this game, stuff like that. Like, one day, people are going to stop caring about these trends and that money's going to slow down. So what are you going to do?
And I will say that spreading your efforts and, like, obviously don't necessarily take my model as, like, some mold of how to do it or because, like I said, I don't have a bunch of plays on the internet or something.
And there's no, like, set in the stone perfect way how to do it.
Right. I just think that as an artist you should focus on certain parts and once you've got that figured out move on to the next thing instead of I'm working on all these things all at once and you can't focus on anything. Like definitely be doing little play but like you need to put all your attention into something so you can make sure you get the best guaranteed product. And that's why I don't do a bunch of shows and most also because a lot of the promoters small level promoters and little clubs and venues and stuff, they don't pay very well or they don't pay at all. And it's been a theme that has onset some trickery and some confusion amongst artists. You should never pay to play. You should never not get paid. If you're not getting paid, there is some sort of transaction, even if it's not money motivated.
Yeah. Someone is making money off you being there.
Right.
So you should get something for it.
Yeah, and there's no shame in going and performing for free, but when artists are talking about, well, why can't I get booked? Why can't I do this? Because there's 1,000 other kids in your city that will go do it for free.
And sometimes you have to do work for free. I mean, some of the first video projects I did were free videos for people here and there just to build up a portfolio. Those things definitely take time. And, there are artists out there, like there's nothing wrong with playing the small venues, but the thing is it depends on what you're going for.
Exactly. That's like when you meet an artist and you're talking to them. They're an independent artist. They don't really have anything going on. They've got some records done, nothing really put out, but like they're really talented. And then you have to have the conversation with them where you're like, okay, but like, what's your goal? And then they tell you some shit about like, I'm trying to do. Am I allowed to curse on here?
I don't care.
Okay. They tell you
I'm
something.
already demonetized all the time anyway, so don't worry about it.
Shout out YouTube. Thanks for demonetization.
Yeah, right. I'll get copyright claims just for saying Old Town Road.
Right, yeah, something like that. But no, it's just wild because it's like, they'll be like, I want to play arenas one day. And I'm like, what? Then you want to go to a label, dude.
Yeah.
And that's where, like, I don't really agree with what labels are doing. I think it's cool how they're kind of switching the model a little bit. But at the same time, their whole goal is to finesse you.
Oh yeah,
and that's just business, and you got to understand. You can't get upset when something like if you think about it in this way. Say you ask for a raise at work, you're making $10 an hour, you're flipping burgers, but then they ask you to do something else, and then you ask for another raise, and it's just like they tell you no.
Yeah,
don't get upset. Keep working as hard as you are, or start working harder. And try and earn that raise or prove to them your worth to them to get that raise. But until then, they can't justify paying you that. What more value are you bringing other than a body being here?
Well, a lot of times, too, record labels, and this is something a lot of people don't realize, too. A lot of times the way that record labels pay people is by giving them a draw. So they're like, hey, here's all this money. You're making this money. It's fine. You have to make that money back for them.
Recoupable.
You have to pay them back.
Please always remember the word recoupable if you don't get anything else from this podcast.
Yeah, a lot of record labels, they'll put you on a check, and you'll be like, man, I'm making money. You'll spend on all kinds of stuff, but they expect you to make that back for them. You have to pay them back eventually in record sales, and if you don't, Ooh, you can be flipping burgers for a long time.
And if you're flush with cash and you've got all your stuff paid off, your project's done, everything's good, buy a house, buy a business, and rent it to people. Buy commercial space. Get a reliable car. But just make an investment. I don't rent like when I say reliable car, don't go buy a $40,000 car because you got $50,000. But get a 1998 Toyota Corolla. Yes. Start a clothing brand. Exactly, and it's just making those small investments. I feel like that where artists get caught up is that there's so much going on. It's really hard to keep up, and then you have all these people in your ear telling you this, that, and then you're like, what do I do? Invest. If you already have a day-to-day manager as an artist and you feel like you are bringing in enough money, get a business manager. It's like 10% or something, and it will make you infinitely more money in the long run and save you infinitely money.
Their job is literally just to make your life easier and make you more money.
And who wouldn't want that? I mean, but that's what I'm saying. I feel like it gets to a point, especially as an artist, and if they don't understand the industry that well, they like an overnight success, prime example. Yeah. They're worried about people taking advantage of them because that's all they're hearing all the time from everybody.
We live in a very experimental age of the music industry, of almost any industry. Because I mean, we've never before had music not necessarily being sold, but being I can't even think of what the word is, distributed like this. Yeah. Streaming services, the YouTube, SoundCloud, all that stuff. It's a very new thing. If you look at the long term of any sort of art industry, the music industry or film or any of this stuff, this is all entirely new, and no one really knows what to do with it. Everyone's just kind of like, okay, we have to get on these platforms, have to make it work somehow, and people still have to get paid. So how do we do this? Exactly.
And that's what's funny too. I was talking to my buddy about it the other day. He was showing the stream royalty breakdown per service, and
Tidal.
Napster is at the top.
Oh, really?
Napster pays the most.
I thought it was maybe Tidal's like number 2 or 3.
Yeah, but Tidal never pays. And I don't know that. Shout out Jay-Z. I've got no shade to Tidal or Jay-Z or anybody.
I actually haven't heard about that at all.
Apparently they do payouts yearly, but I feel like they're kind of behind on some things. I'm not positive. Yeah. It was.
I've been using Tidal for the studio lossless versions of everything because they have the hi-fi.
Yeah, well, and that's the beauty of Tidal is the hi-fi, and so that's what's so cool about it. And I feel like every streaming service lowers the quality of your audio substantially
to make it streamable.
Exactly,
but T-Mobile unlimited data, might as well use it.
Right. No, and with Napster, it's just funny because Napster is the OG streaming service.
Oh yeah,
it's not streaming service. It was not a streaming service, but it was peer to peer.
I didn't even know they were a thing still.
Beautiful,
honestly.
Yes, and it's so crazy. And apparently, I don't remember if the guy that started, I can't remember his name right now, if he went to jail for all of it. But the entertainment industry was like, no, this is not going to happen. And they were like, but he does have a good idea.
Right now, everybody's
now you have Spotify and you have
Google Play Music, Apple Music.
Exactly, they all took it and was like, oh, this is the move. But it's also funny now because Spotify is doing those rev share models with artists. So you give them a percentage, they distribute your music straight to the platform. It's directly with Spotify, so that you're not going to run into any hiccups. Supposedly, I've never used it. I don't know anyone that actually uses it personally, but
it's a lot easier to get your music on there now. Though before you had to pay websites or be on a label.
Well, yeah, and but that's what's funny too, though, is what I've realized now after working in distribution that a lot of the things that people don't know how to or can't do or think they can't do, they just don't know how. I talk to independent artists all the time. They'll be like, how's your music on Spotify? I'm like, yo, bro, here's my card.
Right.
I could put it up for you next week. And I feel like there needs to be some more transparency in the industry, especially with the things with the MMA, with the new songwriter and publishing kind of deal that's going on. You got to kind of, as much as you want to keep your guard up and make sure you're protecting your investments, you also need to give a lot of transparency because everyone thinks they're getting taken advantage of.
Oh yeah, and there's risk involved no matter what.
In anything, and that, and we're also now moving into a time in culture where I think that things are like a service. Like it's not necessarily like I don't owe you anything.
Right.
I will do my best and we'll try and make it happen with my tools and your tools and we'll see what happens and you pay for that. Yeah. And people get confused because they're like, well, you took advantage of me, you took my money. It's like nothing is guaranteed ever.
You risk, every time. You think about it this way. you risk yourself at a 9 to 5. If you work in a fast food place, you have risks. That's why there's workman's comp and liability. The same thing, you risk, intellectual property and monetary damage when you go into something like music.
Precisely.
There's a risk involved with every aspect of every industry, no matter what, and it all comes down to risk versus reward on investment.
Yeah, and I feel like the best way to get the most bang for your buck is to get that risk as low as possible while still retaining that value.
Yeah,
because the issue where people run into is they'll devalue something so low, they'll just continue devaluing it because they're trying to make a bigger. Sorry, I'm having a brain fart.
Oh, you're good.
They're trying to make sure that they have the biggest return.
Yeah,
but they're not. There's no risk involved.
Well, that's the thing too. Risk and investment is going to vary a lot from person to person. One person might value money more than their time, or time more than their money, which is why you have, services that rely strictly on doing things for people, like Uber Eats. That literally is paying just to save people time.
Yep.
So
it's a convenience thing. Laundromats.
Yeah. Pretty much. So whatever someone's risking is going to vary from situation to situation and from person to person, which is why there's no perfect laid out formula of this is what you should be putting out and getting back, because everyone's putting something different out there.
And that's why I think that as humans, we need to understand the importance of planning and longevity and planning for the big picture. Everything has integral moving parts, and you should definitely be focused on those, but you should be most focused on the big picture.
5-year plan. Yeah,
our CEO of Ditto Music, it's two brothers, Lee Parsons, Matt Parsons, both brilliant guys, and it's crazy to me because that's something that I've taken away a lot. Learned a lot from Lee and Matt is looking at the big picture. Yeah. Because if you focus so heavily on those little individual battles to try and win the war, it's like you should be planning to win the war the whole time.
Yeah.
And I hate to use war references because I don't fuck with the war, but
in a sense it kind of is, though.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a war being fought by a million different people all against each other at the same time. Everybody,
and that's where there becomes a bunch of conflict, and it's like, you have to make sure that that everyone is meshing. Everyone can't just be like, oh, I'm keeping my crackers over here, and I'm keeping my cheese over here, and I'm keeping
right. We live in an age where it's possible for people to function independently, but people are tribal in nature. We work better when we work as a team, when every person knows their place in a machine and everyone does their part. It's like you said, having a business manager. Yeah. One person dedicated to a specific part of making something bigger than themselves.
That's why McDonald's is genius. I hate to use McDonald's as a reference because I don't fuck with McDonald's either. But, you put the pickles on, you put the onions on, you put the ketchup and mustard on. It's an assembly line. It's a Model T,
I had a McDonald's burger the other day and deeply regretted it. First time in like a year.
It's that I've done that twice in the past like 5 or 6 years, and it's like every time it's like, oh, I gotta hurry, and that comes back to what you're talking about, is like what's more important, your money or your time,
right?
And so like that's a big thing for me, is like my time is way more important than money.
Oh yeah,
and I have diabetes, so money is also a huge factor for me now. But if I didn't have diabetes, I would be eating peanut butter sandwiches and bread because it's quick.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
and it's cheap.
I mean, I had a smoothie for breakfast this morning. Yeah. I mean, most days it's just run, grab, and go. I cook where I can when I have the time for it, but only if I specifically have the time to like, okay, this is going to be something that's going to be valuable for me down the road because I'll have more energy to get more things done.
Man, and that's one thing that I love is I love cooking, and I feel like just like. And whatever you can do to schedule your day a little bit better, like I use cooking or I use the gym. Like I'll go rock climbing in the mornings. I'll get off work. I go home. I clean up, finish some work stuff, and then I cook because it's just kind of
things with intention.
Yeah, it's like a decompression thing as well as like you said, it's good. This is going to benefit me down the road.
Yeah, entirely. Man, and here's an interesting thing too. We live in an age now where we have the ability and convenience to do all this stuff.
We are in the future. The future is now.
We literally do live in the future. You can wake up in the morning, have a billion different things you want for breakfast that are instantly prepared. You can go to a gym. You can go, up a skyscraper, sit in front of a crazy computer connecting to millions of people all around the world. Like, and then get in your electric car, and
Yes.
have it drive you home.
It's nuts, and that's I think that when people stop living in the past and realize we live in the future, everything is accessible. I made a joke about it to one of my friends yesterday. He was talking about something he just bought and he got it in the mail and it was garbage and all this stuff and it wasn't what it said it was and all this, and I'm like, dude, we have Google.
Yeah. Right now, we
Google
live better than
packaging.
kings did 100 years ago.
And real shit, and that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying, and it's almost scary because it's also like you also have to. We all realize that like there are tons of people that are not living like kings that don't have that luxury. But for the most part, like you woke up, put 2 feet on the floor this morning. Like the fact that your parents met and had you as a child, it makes more sense than you existing at all.
Yeah.
It's crazy because it's like. It's just wild. We live in the future. Everything's accessible. You have all these points of access. You have people that are working on cures for cancer, and you have people that are like you said, your friend that's working on the self-driving
stuff,
cars,
yeah.
but not even like what you would picture a self-driving car.
Hey, he'll be here in the next episode. I'm recording that tomorrow, so look forward to
You
that.
should check that out.
It's gonna be really interesting.
Just from what he explained to me, it's
gonna be wild.
That's nuts.
Yeah, a lot of it's beyond my level of comprehension, but that's kind of why I want to have him on here, is because I want to understand more about it.
We need to talk about this, sir.
Yeah, right. Like, there are things I need to know. Not because I need to know them, because I want to know them.
Because I saw iRobot, and I'm terrified now.
You're right. Where's Will Smith when you need him?
Where's Will? We need you.
Dude, if somebody told me even 6 years ago that by now I would have little Google assistants all over my house I could just talk to whenever I needed stuff, like, I'd be like, you're crazy, man.
Oh, and that's like people always get caught up with like, why don't we have flying cars yet? And I'm like, dude,
Because they're actually a bad idea.
yeah, it's a terrible idea. It's a whole. We don't even know how the interstate system works. We do not need to make an interstate system in the sky. We already got
people
planes.
can't merge. They can't deal with this on another 3D plane.
But maybe your friend with the self-driving cars,
Right.
That technology,
Self-driving
might
flying cars.
that might be able to fix that problem because then it will know where to go.
You got to take out the human element.
Yeah, exactly. Humans are flawed. If you guys have not realized yet,
It's kind of weird that, like, you look at the bigger picture of it, people are kind of the problem with anything that works well on paper.
and that's what I try and always explain to people because you'll, especially when you get like frustrated with a company or something happens and you get taken advantage of or something, or you think you did. It's just really interesting to step back and think, okay, as much of this is automated, these are people you're dealing with. There's
you're
human
dealing with
error
human beings.
involved. So whenever something happens or there's a mishap or something, I always try and explain to the person I'm talking to, hey, I'm not getting mad at you, but just here's some things that you might want to tell one of your superiors.
Run it up the ladder.
Yeah, because
We are about to run out of time. My camera has about 60 seconds left before that memory card is full. So I'm going to wrap it up here. I think we should definitely do another one of these.
dude, I'm always willing to come back.
Guys, if you like this video, please leave a like down below and let me know in a comment if you want to see Dalton here again. And as always, don't forget to stick around and subscribe for more videos like this. Until the next one.
See ya.
Peace.